we should call the meeting to order. Adam, if you call the roll.
Commissioner Collins,
Here.
Commissioner Martinez.
Here.
Commissioner Alminas. Here. Commissioner Miller. Not present. Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Ryan. Here. And Commissioner Bonjour. Here. All right.
Okay, first item is a request for determination of applicability. Proposed to determine whether the boundaries of the resource area were accurately delineated. Basically, it's a wetlands delineation is what we're doing. There's no work before us, please.
Correct. All right, for the record, everyone, Brian Nelson from Arlo Beck Associates. As stated, this is just the determination of wetland resource area boundaries. A site that consists of bordering vegetated wetland and a perennial stream that goes within the wetland. Just to give you context, this is just east of the Eastfield Mall, the project site, which is located right here. So you'll be adjacent to the stream, it's off site in this direction. Any areas of the properties, there's multiple parcels involved, it's all upland pine forest. We did a site visit last week, there were no flag changes. It's the gist of it.
And that, for those of you who might not have been here, that was delineated quite a while ago when the Eastern Wall was thinking about, they were still open, when they were thinking about doing something with that. They did the delineation and you saw no changes in it?
No changes. And all the flags there that you put up are matched perfectly to the actual map. So it looked really good.
Questions? Then, go ahead.
With the heavy rains, I was just wondering if any of the wetland encroached on those number of properties in question.
I had delineated back in May, wetlands were a lot more inundated at the time than they are now. So I feel like when we were there delineating, it's probably towards the maximum extent.
That's that stream is culverted or a lot coming in and off the property, isn't it? Isn't it culvert? Does it go through the culvert?
Yes, it goes underneath Kent Road. And then goes to the south, I'm not sure. If there's another culvert beneath.
Is it
Run back or?
I think.
I'm
not sure.
I'm not sure.
Is it a bit of a stream or border of Eastfield Mall running
Yes.
across Boston
Yeah.
Road?
Yeah.
Any other questions? If there are none, then a motion to approve the wetland border as shown on the plans is in.
I'll make a motion to approve the wetland border as shown in the plans.
I'll second it. Call roll. Commissioner Collins.
Yes, actually, we can, nobody's the voting members on Zoom, right? So we can, all those in favor? Any opposed? We don't, since we don't have anybody on Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can
So
just.
used to doing that.
All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate
Thank
it.
Thank you.
Anybody on Zoom speaks. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so those probably go to that. Not have somebody in the room.
okay, we'll move to item 3, which is treatment of ponds. You were you on the table or you back on there?
Hey, Mark,
Hi there,
can you hear? Can you hear us? I think you're on mute.
Oh, that part.
there's 2 marks. Good marks. You guys don't mark 6.
That came. Oh,
There we go.
that's fine.
That part.
Hi, everyone.
All right.
It's
we
a
can hear-
record for our-
When I walked in, I said. I love reading your writer.
Okay. How you doing, everyone? Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, great. Can you see my screen?
yes,
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure I don't do this that often, but I was planning on coming down and then Adam suggested we just do the Zoom. So But I appreciate everyone's time tonight. My name is Mark Ballora, and I'm the founder of Clear Waterways Group and co-inventor of our patent pending dissolved air flotation barge. We specialize in developing portable, self-contained mobile clarifiers for lakes, ponds, and rivers. We essentially bring the clarifier to the lake. We're based in,
Mark,
I'm sorry?
enlarge the PowerPoint. It's small, it's like inside of an email.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm sharing the wrong screen. Can you see all my notes?
Yes,
Oh, okay, all right, you're not supposed to be seeing that one. All right, let me see here, share. All right,
we're still seeing your notes, but that's okay.
well, let me, I'm gonna switch out and do a different share. So this one. Now how's that? Is that the full?
That's much bigger, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so essentially what we do is we use dissolved air flotation technology on a mobile vessel to basically separate the good stuff from the bad stuff. Our patent pending clarifier has been tested at Pontuzic Lake on a number of occasions. We've teamed up with, the city of Springfield is really receptive to our treatment since we're using dissolved air only. The tests that we've done have only been performed with air. So essentially we're utilizing dissolved air flotation technology. We've teamed up with the Berkshire Innovation Center, and we did that about a year ago. We went through their Catalyst program and DMAIC program, and we've really made a lot of significant progress with non-dilutable funding through M2I2, which is a state funding program. And we've also recently applied to Mass Ventures for another non-dilutable funding, and that would be to build the version 2 of the clarifier that we have. The current clarifier process is around 65 gallons a minute. And the clarifier it's a prototype, so we really wanted to just make sure it worked before we spent too much money on building that next version. We're working with White Engineering. Brent White is a local environmental engineer who's been in the business for about 20 years. He is on our board of advisors, and he would be here tonight, but he had a couple of other meetings in Berkshire County, was not able to make it. Also working with Holland Chemical. And as I'll get into a little bit more, we have a couple of different modes that the clarifier can be used in. One's to treat active blooms, and the other is to kind of treat nutrients prior to entering the larger body of water so that you can prevent the legacy nutrients and nutrient overload.
Are you going to give a more in-depth explanation of dissolved air flotation technology later on in this, or?
Yeah, sure. You'll see pictures of it as well. But it's basically 3 to 5 micron bubbles. Here's actually a good example of it. So you see the separation here of the dissolved air. So those are 3 to 5 micron bubbles. My history, a little bit about me. So basically, I out of college at Ithaca, I majored in environmental science there. I went out to the West Coast for a couple of years and then took a job back east with Crofta Engineering, which Milos Crofta was a pioneer in dissolved air flotation technology. And really the focus was like industrial mills, paper mills, food processing plants. And so I would often be traveling around the country, and I pilot tested some of the smaller units, and I saw the effectiveness of dissolved air flotation. We would always start with, if we were testing a certain stream, we would always test it with dissolved air flotation first. And it was always very effective. Obviously, with a little bit of coagulant or polymer, we were able to get better results in some of those industrial plants. But as I traveled throughout the country, I would often see pictures like this where I'd be flying, coming in for a landing, and I'd look down and I'd see the green pond. And I thought to myself, geez, wouldn't it be amazing if we could integrate a DAF cell, a dissolved air flotation cell, into a hull of a mobile clarifier? So that really stuck with me for quite some time. And it, you know, it was just something where I felt like if I didn't do it, somebody else was going to do it, or, you know, it would never happen. So, several years later, I reached out to my boss at the time at Croft Engineering, Mark Simon, and he's lab director. He was the lab director at Croft, the Lennox Institute of Water Technology. He's just he's the scientist involved with this team. I'm essentially the guy that makes things happen, where Mark is kind of the help desk, and, you know, he advises. He's got several patents under his belt. And we came up with the dissolved air flotation barge. And again, Mark, he's based in Wilbraham. He owns a company by the name of Water Consulting Group, and then also Brent White, as I mentioned, he's been in the business for over 20 years. He's licensed in 4 states. He's got very good relationships with DEP, and all of the regulators in this area in Berkshire County. And as I'm sure you're probably aware, the current responses do not adequately address nutrient imbalance. You know, so basically, there's really not a lot of great responses, and this was kind of the catalyst for me to really try to make this happen, because I know that, you know, all we're doing now is saying, okay, well, the beach is closed due to bacteria, or, you know, we can't go in the water, or they hit it with alum compound peroxides, bentonite clay, and now they come up with this recent one, ultrasonic, where it just prevents the algae from coming to the top. And all these so-called solutions are not really that great of solutions, because what they do is they just kill it and settle all that that biomass to the bottom along with the nutrients. And so all it does is reseed those blooms and just gives it more fuel for the following year. And that's why I think we're seeing the blooms that we're seeing, and it's more frequently because there's just so much legacy nutrients built up in the sediment that you know, you're seeing these blooms like you've never seen before. And other solutions are upgrading sewer lines, septic tanks, and those are really long term. So, you know, that's in some cases with some of the lake associations I'm working with on Cape Cod, you know, they're looking at 20 years out before they see some of that. So we really felt like this is the solution, and this is the active solution. So this is the prototype. It's about 8 foot 5 inches wide, right under the threshold of being just within the width of transporting it down the road on a flatbed trailer. And the prototype is 18 feet long. And that's me on one of the maiden journeys where just wanted to make sure that it floated and we could actually put water in it. So essentially, we're bringing water onto our hull, we're treating it, clean water goes back into the lake, and the sludge solids are removed. So the aqua clarifier is just the name that we came up with. I'm not so sure that's what we're going to stick with, but as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. We suck the water in. We've developed a new inlet header, which will allow us to get the most contaminated water, which is the top 4 to 6 inches typically, especially if you have a bloom, where we're pulling that stuff in, we're mixing it with tiny micro bubbles, we're floating it within our DAF cell, within the hull, and we're skimming and capturing those contaminants along with all the nutrients that are loaded up into them, like in the case of Duck Pond. Clarified water is returned to the lake. And we do have dual operating modes. So we can either operate in air only mode for effective treatment of an active bloom. And again, no chemistry. Or we found recently that we can use a low dose potable chemistry that they use in drinking water facilities to intercept. So essentially what we've done, and I could show you some detail on that. I took some photos in the lab, but essentially we're using a low dose potable chemistry to flocculate and precipitate nutrients out of what appears to be clear water, but we're significantly reducing nutrient loadings out of that water and UV 254. And that's going to be effective at like tributaries where we know that there's high loadings of nutrients coming in, and we can control and manage the level of nutrients that are being dumped into your ponds, so that you have less frequency of the algae blooms. It's easy to operate. It's got a very quick setup, and it's very scalable. I'm working with design engineers right now on the 200 gallon per minute unit, which is going to have the same footprint. It's going to be 2 feet longer, but the same width. So this is kind of an overview of what we do. So essentially we're pulling the water in from the top. This is an example of the non-chemical flotation. So this was during an algae bloom, and this is the crud that we were removing out of the lake, basically with air only. We remove the sludge solids here, and then this goes into another holding tank. And the V2, this is going to be integrated right within the hull, so you'll be able to transport the solids back to shore if you're somewhere in an area where you don't have accessibility to dewatering facilities, or to another tank that you could offload it and then put it into a tanker. And then, as you can see here, the clarified water goes back into the lake. Here's your sludge solids. 1 day of treatment, 8 hours, we removed, I think it was 3 of these loads. So it was like 135 gallons of the sludge. And this is an example of the in and the out. So third-party data, we removed on average 74% of the total suspended solids, 74% of the total nitrogen that was tied up with those solids, and 69% of the average total phosphorus. So basically what we measured here was just basically how much phosphorus and how much nitrogen was in that original sample that we pulled from the lake, and how much was in there after we clarified it with air only. And this is what we came up with. Here's a photo of kind of a before and after on a day of the study. So the big difference between our system and everything else that's out there is, number one, we're not using chemicals, and we remove the nutrients. All these other methodologies leave the nutrients within the pond just to kind of resurrect themselves for the following year. We can use this in a mobile or a stationary application. So if you have a beach that's contaminated with the bacteria, that will require some potable chemistry, but we can treat it with potable chemistry. So we can set this up at a tributary, for instance, at the head of Porter Lake, where we know that stream is coming in. We can, once we get a foothold on the load, like the duckweed that's in your ponds, I would envision having more of like a regular recurring schedule of nutrient treatment at the tributary. We can treat in shallow water. We can treat around docks, beaches, marinas. Again, it's portable, it's easy to deploy. It's all self-contained, so we don't require any roads or 3-phase power. And a big benefit that I sometimes don't mention enough is that we do deliver highly oxygenated water back to the water body. It can be used for mitigation of HABs, oil spills, bacterial exceedances. And that's one of the things we are gonna focus on is beaches and swimming areas. And that's actually what led me to Springfield was I heard about Bass Pond and made a call. And so I did visit Bass Pond and I hope to work with them as well. But Glenn took me over to Forest Park. But let me, before I get to that. So right now what we're working on is we're working on securing additional funding through M2I2, which we've already secured, but Mass Ventures is another one that we've applied to build that V2 unit, which is going to do 200 gallons a minute. We're working on lighter weight materials. This is something that we repurposed this barge. So it is quite heavy. And we're also looking to make it quieter. And we're looking to commercialize it in 2026. So which brings us to Duck Pond. So again, on September 16th, I visited Bass Pond and Glenn took me over to Duck Pond. And I understand that, you know, it's persistent duckweed as I saw, and you know, that's due to the nutrient buildup that you're seeing, the legacy nutrients that are tied up in these ponds. I understand that there is a tolerance to chemical treatment. I think there was some treatment done that was ineffective, and I'd like to find out more about what was actually done and what it was treated with. Hence the need for a low impact, chemical free resolution, which this is. So at Duck Pond, I did a really quick down and dirty study, which I used to do at Crofta many years ago. And we saw excellent separation, as you can see here. So we're just going to be scooping that top layer, and all this other clear water is going to be going right back into Duck Pond. So we had excellent rise rate. This stuff has a tendency to rise very quickly. Great separation. And frankly, I think with the separation that we got, we could be seeing as high as 90% removal rates on the total suspended solids and any nitrogen and phosphorus that's tied up with it. My hope was that we could get it done this year, because what's going to happen is it's just going to continue to feed off of itself. It's going to reseed. The nutrients are going to be settled back to the bottom. It's going to turn over, and you're going to have the same thing next year. So the proposed strategy for Duck Pond would be to drop the unit in, and essentially it would be, I could probably get it in. I was looking at the logistics here. I'm hoping if Glenn could remove a couple of these sections here, I have a tilt bed trailer and we could just offload it right there. I anticipate it would be a 5 to 7 day operation. We would only be going 4 to 6 inches deep. And I estimate that to be around 6 to 8% of the total volume of Duck Pond. So we're only going after the most contaminated stuff. No chemicals, no discharges, and no fuel or hazardous materials. It's a very environmentally responsible way of approaching this, rather than just spraying chemicals all over. And we will be removing legacy nutrients that are tied up in the duckweed. We'll increase the dissolved oxygen, and it's 100% chemical free. This is just kind of a map that I was thinking longer term. Duck Pond is the last one in the chain here. So it makes sense that it's the worst and it's the smallest. But I did notice some duckweed in Fountain Lake, and I saw some in Porter Lake as well. And long term, my goal, once I demonstrate what we can do in Duck Pond, would be to help with Fountain Lake and Porter Lake, and then ultimately treat up at this tributary, as I was mentioning earlier, so that we can prevent these nutrient loadings from coming in. And it would be interesting to see if you have any data on, how like the nutrient loadings. I've worked with some other associations where they can tell me that they know that they have 15 pounds excess phosphorus coming into their pond every year. So it would be interesting to know, because once we have the data from Duck Pond, we can figure out how much nitrogen and how many pounds of nitrogen and how many pounds of phosphorus we remove from Duck Pond. And again, the overall strategy that I just kind of highlighted it would be to first get in there and actively remove the duckweed. And then once we get that under control, go after the nutrients at the tributary. I think that's it. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I'm curious how you got to 6 to 8% when you said you're going 4 inches deep into duck pond. Considering that pond is nowhere is it deeper than a foot. So if you're going 4 inches in, how did you get to 6 to 8%?
They went right in the middle because that big.
It's not deeper than a foot.
Even there, it's
I estimated my calculations were based on a depth of 6 to 8 feet.
feet?
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 No,
Am I wrong on that?
Oh, you're very wrong on that.
I don't even know.
I apologize.
Even Fountain Pond is now, in its deepest is 2.5 to 3. And
wow.
Duck Pond is even more shallow than that. They're very, very shallow ponds.
Geez, wow, that's very shallow. Yes.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. I don't have a lot of historical information as far as just kind of like the depth of the lake and nutrient loadings. But that would be helpful. You know, if it's only a foot deep entirely, that's a concern.
One of my biggest concerns too is access. I mean, Fountain Pond, I just don't see how you could get. I mean, you've been there, you said, right?
Yeah, it was a quick visit. I was there for 20 minutes. I went to Duck Pond and then we drove around Fountain Pond and some of these others.
Yeah. Because you're not gonna be able to launch any type of vessel on Fountain Pond at all. And I mean, even Porter Lake would be really difficult too.
Mm.
And you're never gonna get into Duck Pond. Because just think of the angle of the bank. And at the deepest, it's 8 to 10 inches. You're gonna hit bottom before you ever get the thing in the water.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, especially on duck pond, and that's the way you're most concerned about duck pond. That's very shallow.
Now, you said you did some work up in Pittsfield. Did you get a permit for that work?
Intrusive.
It was dissolved air flotation only, so there was no permit required. So the WMO4, we launched in a boat ramp, and we've tested an area, but all the sludge solids went back into the lake. So it really, as far as Jim McGrath was concerned, essentially, no permits were required. And I've been working with DEP, David Wong, who's in charge of the WMO4, and he said as long as there's no chemistry and you're using dissolved air flotation only, that essentially that no WMO4 would be required.
That's the only permit he's talking about.
Right.
WMO4.
What about a wetlands permit?
We've already told him.
That's something where I'm actually working with another gentleman, Mark Stinson, right now to find out what else would be required.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it's gonna require a filing and a permit. Because there's a bunch of questions. I know you're only using dissolved air. What's gonna happen to all the invertebrate life in there? But there's a lot of unanswered questions that filing for a permit would make you get those answers.
I talked
Right.
to Rob Vandeker, used to be the former agent for Pittsfield, and he
Right.
said they didn't put it in on Tuesday, they put it in a stormwater management basin there. to instead, not pontoons, a stormwater basin. Cause a basin would not have needed a permit,
Right, so it's a stormwater detention basin,
right, not pontoon.
which you maintain and there, yeah, okay, that's very different from a lake.
Yeah,
Follow-up question on that.
Sure.
Okay.
Mark, it's a very interesting proposal. Where have you been, working with your floating device and, what time of year? Can you tell us a little more about your
Well,
project?
honestly, it's been pretty limited only because it's a new technology and it's been a little bit of a challenge to kind of like get people on board because it's so new. And so recently I was always thinking it's only going to be a bloom, right? And we can only treat during a bloom. And then recently we found out, okay, well, no, if we use the PACL 108, it could be more of a proactive treatment. But by the time a bloom happens and I got on the phone with the local contacts, it was too hard to kind of like mobilize. And by the time the bloom, it would be over by the time we were ready to go. And it just hasn't happened. So, this would really be one of the first opportunities here, which I thought would have been a really good one because of Duck Pond, to go out and treat, because the duckweed just lasts. It seems like it's just there and it's not going anywhere. But we're a very new company.
It does sit there for a while.
But the,
Part of that is because it is so shallow.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they probably didn't tell you is Fountain Pond, which is the pond just above, because all those are is a series of impoundments of the Pecosic River.
Right.
Fountain Pond, which is the one just above Duck Pond, has a valve where they could open it and do a flush through there.
Oh,
And
really?
flush the duckweed, and it would end up going down to the river or into the stream. I don't know if they told you that.
No.
I seriously doubt you could get that piece of equipment into Duck Pond. It's, like I said, it's probably at the deepest 8 to 12. That would be at its deepest point. It might be a little deeper right where the big culvert goes under the road. It might be almost 14 inches there, but
the only spot is that, I mean, what he actually showed, you showed a picture of the corner of, I think it was, oh no, that was Duck Pond, very shallow one. Because I was gonna say, right there you showed a picture, you should get in, because there isn't a bank. But that's Duck Pond and it's not deep enough.
Yeah.
right.
How
It's not
shallow,
deep enough there.
how shallow can you run with that, Mark?
I've been in water, 18 to 24 inches without a problem.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Yeah, you probably want to look at some of the old studies that were done. You probably wouldn't be able to get to 80% of Fountain Pond.
Yeah.
And with that, if you need that kind of depth,
If you could even launch.
if you could get in there, you still wouldn't.
Was there-
It's
all-
fountain it's all elevated.
Yeah, there's
It's-
there's no
yeah.
easy way. Short of clearing brush or anything.
And-
Another thing too is green algae is probably, I would say, the second largest issue in all those ponds there. Did you say anything about how you can manage? I know you talked a lot about duckweed, but maybe I missed it, but can you also manage green algae there too? Because green algae in the summer there it's rampant. It's
Well, that's all we've done so far. So the photos that you saw earlier that was green algae. And you saw that, we were removing that. It was pretty consistent, pretty thick sludge.
It gets very clumpy, and especially in Barney Pond there, very, very clumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we could, I'm confident that you would be impressed with the results.
The algae is one thing. The duckweed, that's an important food source there.
Yeah.
We had such an important food source for the ducks that are down there.
Well,
Because there's a whole lot of ducks that come.
we can leave some.
Well, of course, because upstream, everybody's fertilizing all along the streams that feed the Pacousett and feed the ponds there. This isn't gonna end just by scooping it all up. I mean, people are fertilizing all the way to, it goes up to Hampton, doesn't it?
Yeah, towards
It goes east on one hand, and it goes by the golf course.
Yeah, it goes by the golf course, right? I mean, and
Well,
they.
that's the benefit. That's the benefit of being able to intercept it and take the unit right up to that tributary that dumps into Porter to intercept the nutrients at that point before it gets into the rest of the water system.
How do you, I'm just curious, how do you intercept the nutrients that are coming in? They're water soluble, right?
Well, we're getting the nutrients that are tied up in organics.
Oh, okay,
And that section is also very shallow too, coming in.
yeah,
Where Pacousett Brook meets Porter Lake, you can't get your equipment probably with, right now, the way it is, probably within 200 feet of where the stream dumps into the lake. Because it's sediment has washed in, and you can see on aerial.
you can
photos-
walk across it,
Yeah, oh, easily,
yeah,
you have to,
you
yeah,
walked across it, so
Yeah.
you can't, it doesn't even come up to your ankles
yeah,
at parts where it first comes in,
yeah.
it's just a little
And
stream.
you can see through aerial photos just in the last, through Springfield GIS in the last probably 5 to 7 years, it's gotten a lot worse.
Mhm.
As far as
And even if you could, that's the highest turbidity, is
Yeah.
right where the stream comes in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And how successful would it be at getting nutrients? There's gonna be almost no duckweed or algae there because of the flow.
Exactly.
Um, it would just
There
be
is
nutrients.
sediment, what's there is, all that
Right.
fill up is all the
Yeah.
sediment.
Getting
Which is,
pushed out.
cause that was cleaned out, I don't know how many years ago did that end?
Oh,
Well, that was still with Carlos
that was a
Carranza way
long
back,
time ago.
and that was all cleaned out and it's now. But that's all sediment, and what about the invertebrates, how? Does the noise enough make them move away or what?
Well, it's the suction isn't such that it's gonna take fish and I mean, there is opportunity for, depending how strong the swimmers they are, to move out of the area. I mean, if it's pulling, it's not like it's like a real strong pull on this water as far as the water that's coming into the unit. The other thing is that we're only treating, this was never meant to treat every gallon of water in your water body. This is just meant to go after the most contaminated areas and treat a small percentage of it so that we could be targeted with what we're going after. So it really does come down to, living with the algae and duckweed or sacrificing some small percentage of potential invertebrates if that's what happens.
Yeah, I think Juanita was asking, she wasn't asking about fish, she was talking about invertebrates.
Yeah, no,
And
yeah,
tend to live in that layer. Where the
Yeah.
algae and so. Have you ever done a count as to how much of that life gets caught up within the algae and?
we have not, no.
I'd like to.
Yeah, cause they all, that's a cycle down there.
What's the water flow at 65 to 70 gallons per minute that you quoted? What pressure, what suction?
Well, so on the unit itself, it's like it's around 65 psi. But while it's in the water, it's not that. I don't think it's as high as that. It's because we do have a lot of back pressure with the air dissolving tube. But I mean, the thing is, what's your option now? What type of chemistry did you use on Duck Pond? Not too long. I think did you treat Duck Pond?
Duck Pond was treated in, I don't know if it was treated in 2024, but it was treated in 2023, and then years before that, 2012 to maybe 2016, and then the permitting lapsed. I can't tell you what they treated it with, but I can tell you the company was Solitude that treated it, and they sprayed it. So and they did all the ponds.
Right. So, I mean, when you look at that and you're going after, you're hitting every piece of the lake, every ounce of water that you have there. I mean, compared to this treatment, I can't see how you would compare the two as far as, that certainly affected invertebrates and fish and everything else. I mean, they may say that it doesn't, but you got to think that how is that possible? Like if they're using copper sulfate or aluminum sulfate, right? I mean, all those same questions can come up, right? We're using air.
Those questions did come up, and DEP looked at the different chemicals very carefully to make sure. That's why I know you're gonna have to do a wetlands, and there's gonna be permit, and there's gonna be a ton of questions that would come your way, dealing with the same kinds of things that we're talking about.
Right?
And all of that aside, it's just not physically practical. Those ponds are you need to get some depth readings of those ponds, and I think you'll find out that you couldn't get your equipment in there.
Right. Okay.
It's gonna be a big hurdle for you in a lot of those ponds.
Yeah.
They had a hard time putting the little swan boats in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I could see right now the easiest being Barney Pond, just because it's shallow at the bottom of the hill there. But outside of that, I just don't know. Porter Lake would be very difficult without clearing vegetation. Fountain Lake is gonna be impossible. Duck Pond, forget it.
Jeez.
well, it's not
Yeah.
deep enough.
Yeah. I mean, really,
Yeah,
the only
they-
that floating might be, but probably not even Barney, because you said you need 18 to 24 inches, and then it would probably be Porter Lake.
Porter Lake,
Porter Lake is
it could,
10,
would be deep
Yeah.
enough.
yeah.
There is that spot where there used to be a boathouse, past the Eccles building.
Way down there, yeah,
Which we can get it.
where you'd have to do a lot of clearing to get down. in.
Yeah, there's one that's dirt, that's
Yeah.
through, like Camp Angelina, you mean?
No, they're right down from the skate house, there's an old cement pad
Oh,
where
so that's-
years and years ago,
There was a boat.
there was a boathouse there.
And you could launch it probably there, but getting it there, I don't know how they would get it there.
And I don't know. I-
Mark, how much did you say? Weight again?
So this one weighs around 5,700 pounds. So it's wet, it's heavy, but
No, it's something, I mean, if it was something lightweight, much people could carry it in, but I don't,
No.
I don't know where.
I don't
No.
mind having, guidance on permitting, but I think it's more appropriate that Adam take the lead on what application would be submitted. Not DA original from intent.
right, yeah, I mean, I haven't really gotten any. The only person I've been able to collaborate with and meet from DEP is David Wong from the WMO4, and that was kind of the one that I was thinking that we would certainly need. But I didn't realize he wasn't speaking for all the other like permits. I thought when he said that there would be no permit required, he meant that just for this. That's why I'm bringing Brent White on board so that he can help kind of navigate these types of conversations, because he will be but even Mark, has Mark Stinson provided you with any feedback, Adam?
Right here.
Hi, Mark. So
I have a question though on natural heritage. Have you talked to the Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program?
no, I have not.
Okay, that's one of the first things you might want to do.
Okay.
They could really slow you down a lot.
Maybe
Jeez.
it's questions while we invert.
A lot better than we could,
Huh. So do you have any contacts there, Mark, that you might be able to help?
Just go online and look up, natural area NHESP or look up MESA, MESA. And
Okay,
contact page. I mean,
okay,
not all the ponds around here have rare species. Where you need a special permit from them, but enough to, well. You know, along the Connecticut. You've got, you know, by the train tracks, a lot of that's, rare species down there. Where else?
Actually, Barney Pond's got mud puppies in it, at least it used to. I used to catch them,
Yeah, I think we have too.
and that's a protected species.
We, Mark, you could also go to the open space plan too. There's a list of, threatened and some endangered species there too. So you go to our, or I can send it to you. I'll send it to you. I'll send
yeah, and
it.
I mean, I'm really, honestly, I'm looking for collaborators. I mean, we're a new company. I'm trying to, make this come to fruition. I really feel like it would be a good thing for the environment. And I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't feel that way. So we're on the same team. So any guidance would be appreciated. I mean, I saw Duck Pond and I said, geez, well, I got all excited. I said, geez, this would be a perfect application because I saw how well it floated and, so, we're definitely on the same team. I'm looking out for the best interest of the environment. That's why I went to school for
Well,
it.
I get you halfway going on the project and all of a sudden you run into a regulatory hurdle. You can't get past.
Can't just pass.
That you couldn't get past a regulatory, like National Heritage is gonna have a bunch of questions.
Just.
I mean, you've got fiscal hurdles at the ponds that you were referring to. And I think if you go check,
Okay.
you can get out there in a kayak and check the depth. I think you'll find that you probably can't even float in it.
So, and that's not too
Right.
bad, but the water isn't deep.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily talking about Duck Pond. I'm just thinking if there's any other applications that you could think of, it sounds like Duck Pond might be out.
Yes,
But again, gave us here,
yeah.
so in that case, I think.
That gets.
Well, did you say you talked with the Bass Pond Association?
It's too.
Yeah, I spoke with them briefly just about potentially, doing something with them with the version 2 with the 200 gallon a minute unit next year. But we haven't kind of continued the discussions at this point. We need to kind of get to the next steps. That's not as a clear cut, clearly the situation at Bass Pond isn't as bad as it is at Duck Pond. I think there it will probably require some polyluminal chloride.
Cyanobacteria.
Yeah.
The last 2 years.
We haven't been there, so in a while.
And bacteria, yeah.
Well, it's not as nutrient loaded as the others because it's a kettle hole pond.
Yeah.
There's nothing feeding into it and nothing, it doesn't exit.
Right.
It just gets run
It's just-
from the lawns.
It's the people who manicure the grasses right up to the edge of the water. And you try to get that through their heads and
Yeah.
you're causing the algae blooms with the phosphorus that you put on your
Right.
grass.
And
Yeah.
so the Kusick is that there's so many little streams and there's so much, and there's the golf course.
Yeah.
And there's so much nutrients going into that.
Plus, it's not, Pacusic isn't the only one that feeds.
No, that's what I mean, all
You know,
the,
there's all the smaller streets that are taking out storm.
and they're all in areas where everybody fertilizes and
Yeah.
has the
Yeah.
green ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess at this point, I'm disappointed that the Duck Pond's not a little deeper because I felt like. So we were gonna, the idea is to make this more accessible so that we can get into smaller ponds in hard to reach areas. You know, one of the things that we're working on right now is just adding rollers to the trailer so that we can roll it off and roll it right back on. But
You know,
it sounds like it may be too shallow.
So maybe two things you should do, you should, what the other Mark said, is check with Natural Heritage about the invertebrates and all the other critters. And go to the ponds and see for yourself how shallow or how deep they are.
Right. Okay.
And as you're looking going forward, you may be looking at going smaller rather than larger. You know, a smaller flotation that can go into these very shallow areas.
Right.
That wouldn't be as heavy. That might be a direction you might want to explore.
Yeah.
Um,
What if you kept it parked alongside the road and it works with the hose, right? Put the hose in and.
Yeah, I mean, really, we wouldn't have to go in that far. I mean, my game plan for Duck Pond was to kind of just leave it right there. Once it goes in, just to basically leave it right there. And then, you know, as we clarified it, to kind of move in, you know, and kind of work our way towards, you know, additional blooms. But it wasn't like I was gonna be zooming around on Duck Pond.
yeah, you're not,
You might not be able to get it out.
Might not, I think at Duck Pond, once you get it in there, you will leave it there.
Yeah, I know, well, that's what I'm afraid of.
permanently.
Believe me, that has crossed my mind for sure. So.
So,
All right, well, I appreciate everyone's time, and Adam, I'll be in touch. I mean, any other data you could share with me, hopefully we can do something on Bass Pond. There, I think the beach would be a place that we could get into Bass Pond. And Mark, I'll definitely follow up with you. Any advice you could offer would be really appreciated, Mark.
Okay. Very good.
sounds good.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you so much for your time.
And
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that's a little different from what people that place. I was not with DPW, everything's okay. I'm like, it doesn't sound right. He said. It's not sounding quite right.
How about this? What's the biggest stormwater basin in the area that is accessible? Any thoughts on that?
We don't have a lot of large, most of ours
As
are
a
small.
reaction to push up
So I think if he's going to start any type of treatment, that would probably be the best place to start. Because there's a launch there, you could get a boat in there, you can maneuver it around. And I think it would be a lot easier, less stressful for him to start there than Duck Pond, where, like you said, when he puts that thing in there, it's not gonna go. You know, and that's the first thing I said to him when I talked to him on the phone, is I said, I don't mean to be rude, but this thing it's not gonna work for it. It finally Pond completely forget it. I mean, it's
not gonna work in any of the ponds in the park.
yeah,
No.
and then you have to alter a wetland. You know,
Right,
that's
yeah.
the work to get it in the water by cutting trees and removing brush. So in order for him to say that there's no permitting required, I mean, they're absolutely good.
Oh, yeah.
He was confused with WM04.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nice if it were.
But water shops, I think, is a great area to do a test work.
I'm trying to think. Alden Street.
Yeah, so if you're going across the general Edwards Bridge, off of Roosevelt.
Oh, you mean to launch it?
To launch it, yeah.
No, I'm talking about where's the heavy altitude,
it'd be down the end,
down by
over towards
Springfield.
Road, down like that, no, the other way,
The
where
other,
it's shallow.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
And it's.
okay, yeah, by those houses, right.
yeah.
There's a access to Sullivan Park for kayaks and.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
never get that boat in there. There's nice access going on off of Walden Street.
You've got bollards, there's just a lot of things in the way. He won't be able to back a trailer down there. He would be able to, so there's an actual launch.
There is through Camp Massasoit, I mean, East Campus. When you come in, there is a path big enough to probably drive that through, and there's the beach launching place.
There is a launch area there, she's running.
But there's also one right off of Walden.
Launching on a beach.
Isn't
Yeah.
all
That's
that
all
street
two
connected?
I wouldn't recommend that with the barge.
He's talking about getting it on a wheeled thing and then.
Okay.
I've driven it slowly. I've never walked.
All
it,
the
but you don't
streets down
walk
are shut.
the street.
No, it's shallow, but I mean.
But I mean, it's a slow incline, though, it's not, it doesn't drop off.
No, no.
Is it, oh, is it right?
You
Right by the-
mean
the
all the
bridge?
streets?
If you go over the bridge and go right, it's
Okay.
down that way.
Halfway between the bridge and,
Is it?
Yeah.
there's a gas station.
Yeah, there's a launch, that's where they.
I don't know,
Yeah, they're, yeah.
That's fine, he may, but they don't get a lot.
No,
of
he's talking.
No, I'm saying the boat company used to be there.
Oh, they're still there.
Oh, they are, okay.
There is a cement,
The family still owns.
Okay.
but there's a cement.
There's a very well maintained cement launch pad there where they put their barges.
Bass with, Wilbraham,
Just when
Wilbraham.
you get to the corner and.
It's on the corner of Wilbraham and Dow.
There's a gas station.
Right by that kitchen.
Just before the gas station.
There used to be a boat, a marina.
marina,
No,
yes.
not a marina, but
That's
they
it.
sold.
Oh, it's still there, I was talking to them years ago, they have a sales business and.
Yeah, that, I probably owns all of it.
Is there a? They were smaller one down there.
And they-
To,
About where the,
You go
on the left.
by the bridge.
the road,
But-
That's,
Now,
we
that-
would just
that's
stay
used to
with
be
you,
there.
because they just.
they used to sell houses.
Oh,
Really?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
No, no,
That's
that's-
in there, they have a long-term lease on that, so they used to sell homes up.
Because people are fishing there all.
Well, they've got launch for Bass Pond.
Inside.
Where?
Go to
The
the
beach.
Yeah, do you want to put Boston heavy on sand?
So here's the
Well,
bridge,
he'd have to do something to.
and then you turn down here, right here.
That's where all that pretty stuff was done.
Yes.
Probably this, not-
Yes.
Oh,
But
that way.
they don't really have the issue that he's looking at.
Ah,
Maybe, quarter.
I mean, they don't get a lot of, theirs is more cattails and fragments.
Yeah.
On the fact, like,
yeah.
self-made or.
Yeah.
This year and last year, I know last
And
year
then
for
there's-
sure. But what he's gonna be treating for is, you're right, they don't have enough.
They don't have-
Duckweed is not.
No, they don't have, I've never seen duckweed up there.
Yeah, no.
Oh, so.
it'd be nice if we had the smaller,
lighter-
Lighter,
Yeah.
lighter.
Something that was
Really,
built
really.
on a frame of light,
That is
the
really-
duck smaller version that you could get into.
Yeah, that was really big.
But still,
That by
he doesn't answer, what's happening to the vertical, so you want to blow that right off. They're gonna be all tied up in the outside.
Yeah, I know he's not gonna totally, he's just taking some, but I mean, the duckweed, it's part of the ecosystem there. I mean, I know the algae, but. With the duckweed, I mean. Anyway,
Any other words of wisdom, Mike? Thanks for coming, Mike.
Oh, no
Yeah,
problem. Good to see you guys. No, my concern is he only going after lakes or is he going after? You know, streams and stuff. You know, the flow rates, they're gonna be different,
Yeah,
hmm,
you know, so what's his ultimate goal? If, I mean, if you get a big, hurricane coming in. You know, you're not gonna be able, I don't care what you got, you're not gonna be able to handle the streams and the rivers.
no, because remember the time there was that flood that. Flooded the area between Fountain Lake and Duck Pond, that was all washed, totally washed out.
Which is why in the maintenance plan, they were supposed to, if there's a hurricane or
They're
major
supposed
event,
to draw them.
they're supposed to draw Porter Lake down
Right.
to be able to accept the first flush of the storm.
It was some political thing, wasn't it? Rita, I think it was Rita.
Well, as I'm sure it was. She
Yes, that's.
said, we can't get to the valley, well, you can.
Yeah,
Because it's been used.
remember that.
We used to do that until probably 3 years ago. We we used to lower.
Open it, lower it down.
I've opened it probably 3 years ago, it's the last time I opened it, yeah,
Yeah.
and then.
Yeah,
we get
because
three inches.
remember, and that caused that, it ripped up all the stonework, ripped up, it was pretty.
But if you lower that down, if you know you've got a major storm, if you lower that down, it takes the first crust.
Yeah.
Mhm. And we're gonna get those, it's not, we're not gonna get.
And they can
those.
drain both quarter and fountain.
Mhm.
Fountain has an outlet too, that can be dropped.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about, we did that probably 3 years ago, the last time we did.
Oh, and fountain,
I thought.
yeah, there's one on Porter too.
Yeah, yep.
Did we officially close the meeting?
No. Do you wanna close it?
No, no. I just. I don't know. Still
Yeah, we're still on.
Okay, if there's nothing else, there's no other items on the agenda. If someone wants to make a motion to close the hearing,
Oh,
I'll-
one other thing.
Yeah.
This. His ultimate goal, is it to make money, or is it to improve? His equipment to make it. Where it's worthwhile to improve.
Yeah.
Make money.
I think
They both,
yeah. They thought both.
I think he's looking for places to experiment with the equipment, because it's very easy.
Yeah,
okay. That's a. 5,700 pounds is heavy, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Well, that's pretty handy piece of.
yeah,
I mean, I wish the guy luck,
yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. But, long term. It's gonna be long term to get there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I see a pond like that, I think, oh man, we just put a bunch of people with kayaks out there. It's super just flopping.
but if he had a smaller, something else the size of this table. And was plastic and shallow.
Yeah.
And had the same kind of, you could get into those little areas. And had very little.
He kept it really on the whatever the treatment, that he's doing, the screening, because I'm sure that done to the screen. Just leave it on the outside and, but again, it's the invertebrates and the wrong kind of plant material.
You need
But
to
it's
have
just-
something that can run
It-
6 inches of water or less.
It's upsetting that he made all of the reason he's here is the park department was saying, let him go, we wanna do it this year, well. They haven't looked at anything,
They haven't looked and he,
Yeah.
and
and he didn't either, he didn't know how shallow the pond
look at
was.
that sample, that was probably the depth of it,
Yeah,
the sample that he had.
Oh, that sample was, he just sucked off the top,
Yeah,
Mm.
and he put it in a tube, and he let it
Right.
settle.
but I don't know how,
That wasn't the sample that he took on the wall.
Oh,
no,
Anita's saying.
But he let it-
It was the death.
I think that it's not that deep,
Oh.
he was using a hose to draw off
you
the
can see
first,
spot.
the first 3 inches.
You
That
can see
tube
that
is
shot.
probably deeper than most of that stuff.
Of course, was the sediment.
It's very shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And it's gonna keep happening, it's not a one shot deal, and this is gonna keep happening because of the nutrient rich water that's coming in
Yeah, for the neighborhoods,
from the neighborhood.
not miles away too, in some cases.
Which is why he's looking to find something that he can remove the nutrients at point source, like a point source discharge where it's entered.
But
But that would be more of a, you put something permanently. You would,
Yeah, but you would only be getting water there, so it's coming through the color.
if you were just looking to get nutrients,
Right,
that's where you do it, but what you do is you build like a buffer dam and make all the water go through. And filter the nutrients out there before they ever hit the pond.
except it's in the water, how do you filter, do you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
he said he pulls it out,
How does it do that?
I don't know,
It's
he's
liquid.
claiming it
It's a
does.
liquid, I mean, you put fertilizer in water, you mix it up, it's a liquid, how do you,
It's a solution, I don't know how you reject it.
right,
He's saying the
That's a
nutrients that are tied up
procedure,
in
right?
the algae dump. Is what he's removing.
yeah, I think
That's
he
only a
thought
portion.
that up there, there's gonna be a lot more, but there isn't, it's what's up there, it's like what I'm saying, it's just sediment that's up there.
Right, he's not catching, he's.
No, and there's phragmites and cattails and,
But don't get, unfortunately, he got people in
Up
the
by way at the top.
all
Yeah.
excited
Yeah,
about something that, he didn't even check to see if you could get the apparatus in the water. And so they started humming, gosh, you gotta let him do it, you gotta let him do it. Well, it's impossible, you know?
yeah. Anyway,
He is skimming the surface of this.
Literally.
Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn, at least,
I moved to adjourn.
everybody raised.
I'll second.
all those in favor? Aye.